Well, and like, I know we've had this conversation, and you just wrote a LinkedIn article, which I loved, um, about kind of that expectations and letting people know, because I think a lot of times people don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, especially when you are connected and vested with your employees, because that happens. I mean, we're human, of course that happens. But, like, so can you just, discuss that a little bit, like how to, kind of go over that information during a review or whenever the time comes up
Yeah.
on how to
Yeah.
deal with employees and their expectations and
Yes, because we're all just people, and people fluctuate in motivation and inspiration and productivity. Um, Especially this year, we've seen all the challenges that life can throw at every employee. So if you've employed somebody and they've been able to maintain their productivity and focus throughout this year, uh, get prepared, write a list of all of the times that you remember them showing up, being on it, the times where they really came to your rescue, because they have been dealing with a lot, just like you as their boss has been dealing with a lot. They have too, and they've been showing up the best they can. But when you notice they're not showing up the best they can, a lot of times, well, and it's just human nature, we get frustrated about it because it affects us. It's
Mhm.
affecting our work. It's affecting your business bottom line. You're not going to meet your goals because this person isn't delivering on what they need to deliver on. And it starts to build like that pit in your stomach, gross feeling.
Mhm.
This is going to be a bad conversation. There's going to be conflict. I've got to ask for them to change. And so when you start to feel that way, and it's human, everybody feels that way, as a leader and as a company owner, your job is to rein yourself in from those feelings, because and focus on what you need from the person that you're about to talk to. And so I do this. um, I call it the power management method because the letters of power spell out how you go through and do this, but the main pieces are the P and the R. They're the parts that you're going to use in these conversations the most. And the P is just the practice the positive mindset. So that pit in your stomach, you have to get rid of that first. You have to find a way to be comfortable having this conversation. And the way I find is really easy is by assuming the best possible outcomes from the situation. So I think about the employee that's underproducing, or maybe their attitudes changed, or I think they're burning out, and I assume the best things. Like, they're still coming to work, they're still doing their best trying to get things done. They may think that they're meeting my expectations. They're working as hard as they can, they're doing what they can to meet what my expectations are. When I talk to them about what's been changing and what I need, they're probably going to be receptive. They're going to understand. They also know that they're not hitting these numbers, and they probably have been expecting this conversation. So it's like accepting that they're a person who is aware and who is aware of their work situation. And also that if they're coming to work every day, they're still trying to do what you need them to do. They may not be happy about it. They may not be enjoying it. They may not see why it's important, but they're still showing up, which means they're still planning on putting in some work for you. So it's just your job to remind them that the expectations are different than what they're delivering. And then the second piece to get ready is recognizing their individual value. And I do that by, like I was talking about, you think about all of the ways that they've impressed you. When they were at the top of their game, what are the best things that they do for your company? What are the best things that they do for your clients? What are the best things that they do for their coworkers? And how does that really bring value to the company as a whole? And then think about and tie all those things that they normally do when they're doing great, and start checking off the things that they've stopped doing, that you've noticed that they've stopped doing. and that have really changed their productivity. And then you talk about it in that way. Like, I really appreciate how hard you work. And when you're at the top of your game and on this date during this project, I saw you, you did this, this, and this. And you came to the rescue of this person when they needed you. And, you know, you talked this customer off a cliff. And I saw all of these things that I know you know how to do. And I was so impressed. And I'm so grateful that you do those things. But recently, I've noticed a change in your behavior, or a change in your work, or a change in your attitude. And this thing started to disappear. I noticed that, you know, when somebody asks you for help, like, this is the way you talk to them. And what you do when you have a conversation like that is you take the unmeasurable things that you want somebody to bring to work for you, and you find a way to turn them into the measurable pieces that you want to talk about. Because the measurable pieces are just numbers on paper, but what really helps those things happen is how the person feels, how they act, how motivated, and how focused they are every day. So it just lets you talk about all of the feelings, but apply them to the purpose. And so then at the end of the conversation, you've already told them why you think they're great, where you think they add the most value, and then you've told them where you've really seen it's lacking. Now you can say, what's going on? What happened? How can I help you? This isn't working. So I need to help you get to, you know, where I need you to be. So what's happening? So then they get to tell you. And I mean, you got to be prepared. If you have this kind of honest conversation, they're going to come to you and be honest. So maybe there is somebody that's getting in their way. Maybe there's technology that's getting in their way. Maybe there's a personal life thing that's getting in their way. The important thing is not what's getting in their way, but how you hear it. Because the next thing is, how can I help you? What help do you need from me to get you to, you know, the super productive, back to where you were, back to this, you know, 100% stellar employee that I just am so excited to have on my team. And when you do the conversation in that loop, you create a comfortable atmosphere to ask for some accountability.